Good morning. That's such a great morning. Oh my gosh, if anybody's actually watching these, I apologize. Yesterday's video, the light was so terrible. I was ghostly white and then blue and then yellow, and it's because my sunrise walks. There's not so much sun. And I tried to wait a little longer today, hoping things would be better, but I don't know if you can tell, I'm walking in what we call wintry mix. Wintry mix in April. So it's a little sleet, maybe a few snowflakes, maybe a little rain. But enough about my weather report. I just think, the light for this is going to be terrible too, and I'm sorry. I try. I'm not very good with this post-production business. But today we're talking about additives. I'll tell you, I'm not a zealot on additives. I don't know that much. I just know we don't want them. Additives would be things like your food colorings and flavorings and preservatives, all the things that food manufacturers put in their food, but you don't in your kitchen, right? When you make a loaf of bread, pretend you're making a loaf of bread, do you reach for the whitening agent? Do you throw in some preservatives? Well, you might put some food dye into cupcake or frosting, right? You might do that. Well, I don't have it all memorized. But I do know this. It's been a lot in the news, especially with Kennedy now in charge of our health. There are ingredients that we allow in our food in the States that aren't allowed over in, say, Europe, right? We've all heard that. How can that be? There's this principle called GRAS, generally recognized as safe. And it was originally intended for things like salt and pepper and garlic, real food, that food manufacturers didn't have to make a case that those ingredients were not harmful. And for some reason, in 1997, under Donna Shalala, I think, we changed the rules around GRAS so that it was kind of the honor system. The manufacturers could determine which ingredients were generally recognized as safe and which were not. I don't know. That's what I read. Maybe I'll remember to leave a link to that article. But it hasn't gone well, has it? And we all remember when at least one of the red dyes, there was such an outcry that it was carcinogenic that was removed. But there are many other ingredients that are also problematic. It's my word of the week, that are still in our food. And what's really concerning, it seems, is that many of the big manufacturers also sell their food overseas, and they have to have, or even just in Canada, and they have to use a different recipe, different ingredients, in order to sell there. But in the United States, we still get the full-on additive version. So we want to avoid them. I just want to highlight one or two. Caramel coloring is in everything. It's a big one in soda, but it's also surprisingly common in lots of other foods. And, well, caramel is just sugar, right? Butter and sugar. Caramel coloring sounds innocuous. Evidently, that's one of the worst ones. Oops. So we don't want to be or we do want to be avoiding caramel coloring. I too much. I know. I'm very sorry. I said I'm not a zealot. I do drink flavored seltzers, and I'm sure there are natural and artificial flavorings in there that I probably want to avoid. I think buyer beware, consumer, as long as you know. What bothers me more than anything is that we presume that everything our government stamps and allows to be sold is safe, and it's not necessarily. So pick your poisons, make your choices, right? Children, however, children, they're just going to pick candy all the time, aren't they? And so I do think that we have to be especially careful with our children. And common preservatives like BHA and BHT and another one I can't remember are known to cause ADHD or ADHD-like symptoms. I can't remember exactly which. What's the difference, really? So if you're a mom, if you've got children who sometimes have focus and behavior issues, take a look at those ingredient lists. Which brings me back to my bottom line always. We should not be eating ultra-processed foods. But there are foods that don't look like ultra-processed that will still have ingredient labels that surprise us. One of my most famous mistakes was thinking that all cream was just a natural ingredient, and lo and behold, some creams do have additives. Carrageenan, which I probably am still mispronouncing, was in the cream that I'd been using, and that's known to cause tummy troubles. My sister was blaming lactose. I said, cream doesn't really have measurable lactose. Could have been the additives. So that's it. Ultra-processed foods typically are full of sugar and carbs and seed oils and additives. And we don't want them. We don't need them. We don't want them. Okay, I'm Eileen. I reversed the worst of my early Alzheimer's symptoms through a clean low-carb diet. And I like to talk about that and other health issues here on my new little channel. If you're interested in starting a clean low-carb diet, take a look in the description below for links to some resources that might be of interest. It's another gloomy day here. Thanks for coming along. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on my video. And until tomorrow, when I hope the day is brighter, stay strong, wise, kind, and good. Choose good food for good health. Bye. Did you see that snow?